Good evening and welcome to 180, a political segment. It is my absolute honor to have with me here today Mr. Anuradha Wimalarathne, a member of the Working Committee, Samagi Jana Balawegaya, and Chief Organizer for Colombo East. He was also a Colombo Municipal Councillor and the former Provincial Councillor of the Western Province. Hi, how do you do?
Good evening, Muni. It's great to be here.
Yes, it is my pleasure to have you here as well. Could you tell me about your vision for when you came into this sector?
Well, I did my O-levels in the local stream, and then did my London A-levels, and then I went to uni in Japan and in US. So after finishing that stint over there, I helped out on my parents' company in Japan, and then I ventured out on my own in Australia. So did a stint like that, I think, for about 10 years out of the country, and then after a while, you get homesick and you want to come back, right? You miss your family, you miss your friends, you miss Sri Lanka. So I came back in around 2010. And then I felt as if I should contribute towards the betterment of my country, because while I was living abroad, you hear a lot of expat Sri Lankans saying, oh, Sri Lanka is hopeless, there's nothing you can do, best thing we did was leaving the country, and politics is so corrupt in Sri Lanka, they were saying all those things, and I never really appreciated that. I believe that, yes, it's very easy to complain about something, and it's very easy to leave seeking a better life for you and your family. There is nothing wrong with it. But I don't think you have the right to complain when you have left without trying, right? So I came back, and, I was doing a little bit more of my studying, I was doing my PPL and fun things like that, and again took over the operations of our company in Sri Lanka. So while doing that, as I said, I wanted to do something. I wanted to see, instead of just complaining and staying, I wanted to try to do something for my country, and that's how I got into politics. Because I believe that I owe this country something, because I'm partly, I'm a product of the free education system, and so I thought it was my turn to at least try, and it has been a really hard path since then. But you can't give up on your family, you can't give up on your friends. Same way, my country is my family. So I'm not willing to give up now.
A man who took a stand. What an inspiring story indeed. Do tell us about your mission for the country. What do you plan on doing?
Well, mainly, my passion has always been, especially, has been on three pillars. First and foremost, education. I cannot emphasize enough on that. Number two, economy, because it's just the next step over, right? Education will actually lead you to the finance or the economy, right? And then after that, I truly believe we are not in the place we should be as a just nation, especially when it comes to how we treat each other. And I don't think I have to tell you how our people treat women and children. We speak about this, whole 2,500 years of Sinhalese Buddhist, we talk, but we don't walk the talk. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The glass ceilings that, the women of this country has to face, and, the issues that they have to face every day on the roads, even the same thing for children. I believe that, yes, we should be more educated. Our education should be more versatile. Also, I believe that, we have to come towards a different economic model, this laissez-faire neoliberal system is not for us, it's not going to work for us, and that's Mr. Wickramasinghe's way, UMP way. And then there is, on the other hand, there's the left-leaning, we should close up, like everything should be produced here, it should be our own thing mentality of the new government, the JVP. I don't think either one is the right way forward for us. We need to find a middle path, more of a socio-democratic economic model, which yes, we go for local productions, and we help our local producers along with allowing the free market economy to operate in Sri Lanka, and get foreign investments, foreign companies to produce here. We tax them, we get money from them, we get jobs from them, and from them that money, that knowledge that we get, we are going to help our local industries so that they can actually compete, that they are on a fair ground with these multinational companies. We are not going to help our local industries to beat the multinational companies, in the sense we are not going to make it unfair, give them an unfair advantage. We are going to help them just enough so that they can compete on the by themselves for a little period. And I believe that if that is given, maybe for a year or two, we as a people, we are very smart. We might be a little lazy, but we are a smart, enterprising bunch of people in Sri Lanka. So if they are given a fair platform, I am sure within few years they will beat the multinationals by themselves. Our people just need that little bit to step up, that little push. So I think we should head there. Maybe later on we can talk in more in detail about this. And so education, have to spend more, but we have to spend differently, not the local way of education. We need to change that. I think you have an idea about the London systems, right? So, and that education is vastly different. I have experience in all these levels, because I have come from the scholarship exam, then O levels at Royal, A levels at British School, university abroad. So we need to spend more, but we need to spend wisely, and we have to open other avenues for education, and so that people have different ideas and have different choices.
What truly interesting insights. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And we are back on 180, a political segment. We are here today with Ms. Anuradha Wimalarathne. Now I'm sure your educational background and your family background played a major role in who you are today. Do guide us through it.
Well, as I said before, my education is such, and I was brought up not by a single mother, but my father, because of his businesses, he lived most of the time out of the country. So I was brought up by if I could say, like a strong, woman. So because of that, I have developed a keen respect for women and what they are capable of. And the other thing is still, God-fearing, and more than that, mom-fearing young man, I guess. So those, my upbringing, my family, and especially, my mom and my father and my, the values that they have instilled me still guide me. And more than the law or God, I fear, my family, and their opinion of me matter, because they have always raised me to do the right thing, and I can get away with anything, but some things, things that they don't approve of, stealing, abusing women and children, those kinds. I think those are two things that I could never get away, because yeah, that's because they would never allow me to do it, and not that I ever will, but I will. You know, like those are things that those are the values that have been instilled in me since I was a child. So that's very important to me.
What about your educational background? Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, like see, I not only my educational background. Like yeah, you can be educated. Yeah, education really matters, right? As I told you before, local O levels, London A levels, university in Japan and US. I majored in political science and finance. So that is my education background, and then I have actually worked in multiple countries doing business. So I come with that sort of experience and global exposure in business, as well as like I love to travel, right? Like everyone else, I love to travel. So I have lost count of how many countries I have visited, mind you, on my own money, not on public funds or anything like that. I think I have traveled most of Europe, most of the Americas. I have traveled, and most parts of Asia, Australia, so quite a few different countries. I'm not saying this to brag or anything. I'm just saying that I have experience on how those countries operate, and how the people of those countries think, and how better, because as a country, like we cannot always be, okay, we have to be, do everything, the way we have been doing it for 2,500 years. We need to change. We have to keep up with the ever-changing global socio-economic models, right? So I think we need leaders who can understand that, because so far we have had leaders who had no exposure. Some have been educated, but they have no global exposure, so they really don't know what's going on. And like even if they go for training programs, they don't really get what's going on. Like you have to have an open mind, I think, in these times. So I come with that sort of knowledge, that sort of exposure. Mind you, like I was at Tomorrowland as well a few years back. Very good experience. So I have done my fair bit of traveling. Again, not on public funds. I have never gone anywhere on public funds. I have represented Sri Lanka in political events all over the world, but I have always made sure I buy my own ticket, so that I just don't. No one can ever talk about me doing anything. And even as a provincial councillor, I have not taken any benefits from the country. I have always paid through my own way. So I come with a decent education background. I have experience in politics, because education only is not enough. I have experience in international business and trade. Plus, for the almost 12 years where I have been in politics, I was a municipal council member for Colombo, provincial council member for Colombo district in the Western Provincial Council. And for this 12 years, I have conducted myself, I would like to think, with dignity and honor, so that no one can say anything about me. Like, after being in politics for 12 years, I think it's a very rare and hard thing for someone to not even have an allegation. Because there can be allegations. It could be unfounded, but there can be allegations. So I don't have any of that. So I'm proud. I'm proud to say I have been allegation free. It's sort of like a pig coming out of a mud pit clean. So,
right. Yeah. Well, as the famous proverb goes, be the change you want to see in the world. And he is someone who has actually experienced it throughout. We'll be back. Welcome back to 180, a political segment. Miss Anuradha, do tell me, why should people vote for Samaga Jana Balawegaya instead of the president's party?
Well, Muni, I think last time what happened was it was a protest vote. People didn't really consider what was being said in the platforms. They didn't really care because they had a anger towards the politicians of past, and they took it out on the whole, let's say the whole right-leaning political system. They took it out. It was basically a protest vote. And I think now people are starting to realize that they have been had, because now they are starting to see, even in this past short 3 weeks, they're starting to see that most of the promises that the NPP or the president was speaking about on stage cannot be delivered. That he was actually saying things just for the sake of getting power, and we are seeing that clearly. So I don't blame the people, and I understand their anger, and I understand why they did it. But I think now they should really be smart about this, because you can't be playing with the country's future. You cannot be playing with politics. You cannot be taking your anger out just because you want to. You have to be smart. We have to be smart as a nation, right? And we need to clearly see who we are going to entrust the future of this country with. So I think the biggest problem with the NPP or the President's Party, basically JVP-led alliance, is that they are inexperienced, and they really don't know what they are talking about. So, and which we see, right? And then most of their policies actually contradict each other. And even when you look at their nomination lists this time, they were talking about they were talking a big game about how there should be more youngsters, more educated people in parliament. But if you really look at their lists, that is not being reflected. There are hardly any youngsters in that list. And another key thing that they were talking about was how family politics or nepotism should not be there, and we are starting to see that in their lists. Also, we see the lack of experience in their whole team, which is a very dangerous situation. I would like to encourage everyone, because information is freely available these days. You just have to go on Google or whatever, and you just type in, and then you get all that information. So before this vote, before the 14th of November, I would like everyone to go and Google and see what has happened in the past every time a Bolshevik or a Marxist regime has come into power in this world, in any country. Go and check out the history, see what happened in Venezuela, see what happened in Cuba, see what happened in Cambodia, see what happened in China, Russia, any country, any time in history. And they will clearly see every time a left-leaning, left-oriented group comes into power, that country has gone through severe economic, social, and humanitarian hardships. And the human rights of those countries have plummeted. And most countries have still not recovered. And you might say that China has come out of it, but no, they haven't. The biggest thing is that you really don't get to know what's happening in China, because their media is highly controlled and regularized, right? And then there is no Facebook, none of that is there, right? So there is a few, a very small elite in China which is connected to the Communist Party that is doing really well. They are billionaires, but most of the other people are actually suffering. You have heard of sweatshops, right? That come. Yeah, sweatshops comes from China. Mm-hmm. That means they use their labor, and they put them in cramped areas. They're sweating and making your clothes, making your iPhone, making your jewelry. That's the whole concept. So those countries haven't done well, and even in China, even today in those countries, most human rights and things that our people take for granted are being suppressed. So we are at a very dangerous place. Our people are just playing with fire. I encourage them to go have a good read on what has happened everywhere else in the world in the past. That, and of course I'm a Sinhalese Buddhist, right? So another thing that has happened in those countries is that all religions have been suppressed. They believe that religion is the opiate of the masses, and they are correct in a way. I'm not disagreeing totally with that, but what we have to understand is this is a Sri Lankan Sinhalese Buddhist country, and more than that, this is one of the last Theravada countries that's left. And because of that, everyone has the right to freely follow their own religion. So I think that needs to be safeguarded as well, because in Cambodia, when Pol Pot came into power in the 70s, there was 120,000 monks, and by 1980 it was 100 monks living in hiding. Everyone was killed, disrobed, or banished from the country. So the same thing happened in China. In Russia, they went after the Orthodox Church. In China, they consider Muslims to be, that they need to be rehabilitated. So so people should be really careful, and in this election they should take a good choice, and I would like people to consider me as well inside the mix, because as I said before, I come with experience, education, plus I'm like one of the youngest candidates in all parties in this election. So if you want a young, educated person with experience, I urge them to consider me.
Right, on that note, we'd all urge you to make a smart choice. That brings us to the end of this lovely talk. Have a safe day. Thank you.